Welcome back, Officers of the Republic. Is your Coruscant Underworld Police Chief APGAINS here, and we're going to talk Executor, and I think I speak for most of you. Let me know if you agree. Going into the Executor event, of course, not a whale. Don't have the facilities for that big man to spend all of that money to unlock this guy as a free-to-play player. People in my shard, however, they did. So I've been struggling here. But I think a lot of you guys expected day one Executor to be completely broken. As did I. I thought Executor was going to be incredibly important. Of course, there's still that day one. We don't know the right comps, the right order to bring people in, all of this stuff. There is some wiggle room. I have been testing pretty much all day. I thought I actually started school today, today being Monday. You're probably going to see this on Tuesday. I thought I started school. I actually start school Wednesday. So I guess I'm very much on top of my stuff if you guys haven't guessed. But I spent all day testing against two different Executor comps. Well, a bunch of different comps, but two different Executors. One at 4 stars. One of my guys wailed a little bit, but not all the way to 7 stars. And one of them maxed out full. Everyone's relic 7 to 8. Like, it's crazy. So I've been playing around. The 4-star, I actually had a really hard time beating the 4-star Executor. Let me just hop into my ships, because although I am facing maxed out Executors, my ships are not amazing. Compared to my opponents in GAC, ship harder, bro. I'm not showing ships. Way better than my opponents in GAC. I got maxed out Malevolence, maxed out Negotiator. An okay Negotiator squad. My Malevolence characters, my Separatists are terrible. So all in all, compared to maxed out, like, high-end whale, Kraken level Executor fleets, I'm garbage. I could never beat the 4-star. I could never beat the 4-star variants of the Executor, but I did actually have a couple of wins against the maxed out version. To my surprise, he was testing comps all day. There are some comps I'd have to go back. I haven't looked through the footage. I actually didn't even take footage because I was just messing around by myself, in sadness, thinking this would be the last day that I would be a top member of my fleet shard, but I somehow beat a couple of different comps. I'm sorry I can't verbalize those to you. One of them is actually going to be in a video later, where I recorded the video anticipating the entire video just being me crying as I got obliterated by a maxed out Executor. But because of the comp, I actually ended up winning pretty handily, and I was a little, like, after a contract went out, like, we had the lock target and breach everywhere, and it got dicey at the end, but we ended up winning, fairly handedly, for at least for a fleet. Like, in GAC, you don't want a battle that close, but in Fleet Arena, a win's a win, right? So this got me thinking, in some comps, Negotiator beats it, even when they're weaker. And I think this was very much a ship that they wanted to beat the Malevolence and beat the Negotiator specifically. I always thought that there would be some realm where one of the weaker fleets, like especially the Rebels, would have a chance, even though they have like that anti-MILF synergy. Lots of testing's been done. I'm sure you guys have seen all the videos. Certain Rebel comps can beat certain Executor comps, and it's a little iffy, but like you can get it relatively consistently, especially for fleet climbs. Not nearly as amazing like you'd want to use in GAC. High banners. When it's like if you get a 66, you win, but if you get a 64, you lose. It's not necessarily the comp you want to use in GAC. But it can be done. Surprisingly, Malevolence has had, I think, the most success. Of course, mine, my Malevolence itself is fairly maxed out. I mean, Grievous is not Relic 8 because I'm not rich to throw around Relic 8s. I'm still saving up for my second Relic 8 to put on Grandmaster Yoda. Isn't that exciting? But my Separatist ships are complete trash. So I'm going to do some testing with them. I anticipate it won't go well because I don't have like strong characters to do that hit hard, and my Hyena and Vulture are not, 7 stars, so they can't hit hard either. Can't hit hard either. But I think we're going to see some nerfs, guys. I'm a little scared because 3 of the capital ships that were the meta, the Malevolence, the Negotiator was the best and still is better than the Malevolence. Malevolence second, and the Rebels in there at third with like, Relic U-Wings. They're all beating certain comps of maxed out Executors, which I found a little strange. I'm actually hoping that they can be beaten and that the Executor is not like, you can't beat it, it's game over. But I don't know how this sits with CG. I'm sure they're seeing the data. I'm sure they're going to give it a couple of days for people to start figuring out the proper comps. I definitely think that is a big thing because, like, when I went in with my when I went in against my, not quite that good negotiator versus a maxed executor fleet, Relic 7's out the butt, I was surprised I won, and I don't think I'm going to be the only one. I think a lot of people have been having success with Malevolence and Rebels, and I'm sure a lot of people have been at least trying with Negotiator. Maybe they have Negotiator, but they're not still like at that point where they have a maxed out Malevolence, so they thought Negotiator would be their best bet. And CG's getting this data, and I'm really scared that we're going to be in a situation where they're going to start making caveats to this ship, kind of like what they did with Galactic Legends. I know the elephant in the room is all of the supposed nerfs, and yes, they're nerfs to Galactic Legends. They're buffs in other ways, so I guess you can call it a balance patch. I'm afraid we're going to get a slight balance patch. I don't think it's going to outright say weaken the Negotiator, the Malevolent squad. I think it's going to go into the kit of probably the Executor, maybe a couple of Bounty Hunter ships. Maybe it's going to be like a change to the unique on the Executor or something like that. So where it's like, because we know that like unmanned ships are not necessarily amazing, which is why it was surprising that Malevolence has done well. And even my weak BLT sandwich Y-Wing has put in a considerable amount of work against the maxed out Executor. I'm afraid that we're going to get like an update like, can't be dazed. I mean, they already have that tenacity up at the beginning, which really sucks. That's one of the things that I found to be quite annoying in those negotiator comps is, that tenacity at the beginning kind of messes up, your initial daze, which is like how you counter like super strong Malevolence teams with negotiators, for instance, or rebels, teams that rely on a lot of assisting because, the Executor has a mass assist and stuff like that. So while I already thought that the kit was, it was kind of worded in a way where, like, these two ships right here are not going to really do much. They've been putting in work. You guys have probably seen it everywhere. I'm sure pretty much every video you've seen today was either an Executor unlock or a surprising Executor counter that people were not expecting. So let me know what you guys think. I'm really worried that we're going to get these balance patch updates to fleets, and I don't know if I speak for the super whales. I mean, there's a super whale in my shard. Great guy. Just happens to, have the capacity to spend a lot of money. Good for him. I don't think they want it to be unbeatable either, because then it's going to be like, oh, do you save it for offense or defense? If you play it on defense, maybe your opponent saved it for offense, you lose. Because, they're going to get the banners and maybe you not, or maybe you place on defense, they place on defense, full clears, you can't full clear it. Because it is one of those ships where, like, there's probably two-shot potential, but when you're using 4 initial fleets, like, do you have a strong enough 5th fleet? Like, maybe at the very whale stage where everyone has maxed out characters, but, like, in that 4 to 5 million range, where, like, maybe you have an Executor, and you have a Negotiator, and you have a Malevolence, and maybe you also have a good Finalizer or Rebel team, or maybe even a Radis or something like that. Like, do you have a really strong 5th team where, like, you go against, the same kit, the same Executor kit? Probably Houndstooth is still alive. He's going to get 100% health and protection back from that ability. There's going to be breaches. Is your 5th best team at that 4 to 5 million range going to really be able to go against the Executor? And I guess someone would say, well, it probably should, because, APGAINS, you place Negotiator on defense and your opponent's like attempt 2 or 3 battles and don't beat it, especially on the free-to-play account. Oh, they're both basically free-to-play accounts, but the early game free-to-play account. Actually, I wouldn't call this a free. This is I spent probably $150 total on this account over the last almost 2 years in January. 2 years in January, so light spender on this account. But on the free-to-play account, I mean, no one's ever beaten it. Maybe ships are just supposed to be like that incentive to participate in that sort of game mode where, you kind of got to get the job done. You got to ship harder, like Mort would say, or else you're going to be left behind. So I just wanted to throw something out there. I basically just want to see what you guys think. Do you think it's in a good spot? Do you think there are too many counters? Do you think the counters are just because people haven't, ironed out the best kits or the best starting lineups, the best reinforcement order, stuff like that? Also, the AI kind of sucks. I think that could be an entire other video in and of itself, but the AI of the Executor is not amazing. So I think the most realistic change, balance patch change, is going to be like an AI fix. Like, oh, look at that. It just now starts to target ETA and doesn't target Vulture Droids. Or it targets the MILF right away or something like that. I think that's going to be an upcoming patch. I'm going to be upset. I think it's actually in a great spot. Like, it's hard. It takes attempts. It's not consistent. I won like maybe 5 out of like 40 attempts against the Max Executor and 0 against the 4-star one, which was a little surprising. Well, it was only like 0 for 5, but you know, I love balance patches, guys, don't you? As always, I love you guys. Subscribe if you like the video. Subscribe if you hate me and you just want to get an update as every time I post so that you guys can hate me some more. But as always, I love you regardless, and I'll see you later.